I can hear you. Thanks, Peggy. Okay, well, with Peggy online, that officially gives us quorum. I'm gonna go ahead and start the meeting at 2:03. At the table, myself, Lauren Efren, Jason Lee, and Jeff Galdenzi from the committee. Online, I have Peggy Macaluso. Also joining us at the table, Mark Schweitzer from Colliers, Jeff Wazinski, and Antonia Civarella.
Perfect.
Architects, practicing. Also online, we have Justin Hopkins from Tecton Architects, Nick Conti from Gilbane, thank you for joining us, Nick. Sal Morbito from Fairfield Public Schools, also joining us, Nicole Olson. And if we could all please rise for pledge allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I am going to jump to item number 4 on our agenda to hear, discuss, and review the think tank, which was held on 5/28/26 at RLMS, and I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to Tecton to tell us, or I should say, review what a great opportunity we had to meet.
Awesome. Thank you. Perfect. We have a presentation pulled up here, so do you want to kick it off, Jeff?
Just as for those that are around the table, a couple handouts for you. Copy of some contents and summary of the think tank, and then the idea book that we're going to discuss later today, or later at this meeting. And then I know Justin circulated, I'm sorry.
You have these electronically?
Yes, we talked about that. So
I posted it now too.
okay. So what we'll do is we'll set in, moving forward, we'll send an advanced draft of the PDF. We draft stamped the PDF that we circulated only because we wanted to have the discussion here today. If there's any changes, we'd make those changes.
I can update it.
And then, yeah, post, basically, we timestamp basically as presented at the building. So, and moving forward, we will get that locked down as far as the logistics related to the issuance of the presentations. So that's what you have in hard copy in front of you for those that are at the table. We're screen sharing it now, and we'll digitally circulate that or post it through the committee. So with that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Perfect. So we had a wonderful think tank event last week on Thursday, May 28th. Very well attended. We were at the middle school. There were students and parents and board members and educators of all different types of disciplines and departments. So it was a very dynamic and diverse crowd. We got lots of great feedback. And it was wonderful that with so many different minds in the room, there was a lot of general consensus. So we definitely had some emerging themes that came out of our activities. So on the next slide, we did engage in 2 activities. The first was to better understand the aesthetic story, the vision that the group has in terms of the design look and feel and style. So we played a game called Storyboard, which asked folks to collage the aesthetic vision that they would like their school to have. And then we presented those ideas and coalesced around a couple of themes, which we'll talk about on the next couple slides. We also played Scatter Gather and How Might We? And those 2 activities helped us formulate a vision statement and some guiding principles about how we can implement that vision. So on the next slide, we have our results. So the vision statement that the group arrived at in the session is, we're doing this for our diverse and engaged learners so that they can feel supported and creative through thoughtful, cozy spaces and ultimately be inspired and excited about school. And we really, that was beautiful that we arrived to that place. And some of the things, the ideas for how we can get there are on the Post-it notes on the right-hand side. Things like celebrating the student work, which we've heard Dwight already does so well. So that's a great culture that we can continue in the new building. Making the arts, innovation, and student accomplishments prominent throughout. creating some calm, quiet nooks for learning, break areas, using mindful colors and natural materials. Some places where they can be bold and vibrant, some places where we might want to be a little bit more muted and tailored in our approach to color. But they were excited about that idea and the idea of celebrating each other. Some sensory spaces, some different types of learning environments, some flexible spaces, and really just this idea that everyone in the school has the ability to learn in a space that supports their unique and individual needs. There were some creative thoughts about visibility to how meals are being prepared, but we could extend that to maybe how some of the building systems are working, especially in the sustainable conversations that I know we'll have, some outdoor learning and hands-on learning. So I think the theme of that Post-it note is really bringing learning to life in a tactile, hands-on, visible way. And then all in all, being surrounded by nature, the beautiful sight, the natural light, taking advantage of all that. So great ideas that came out of that activity. On the next slide was I think the storyboard aesthetic collage activity was the much anticipated event of the day. And it was really cool to see everyone's collages. You can kind of see them in the background. Everybody presented their collage, and we found 5 common themes with one overarching thread. So I'll start at the bottom of the screen. The overarching thread really was connections to nature, bringing the outdoors in. And you see that as idea number 1, this indoor-outdoor connection, the idea of trees and treehouse, natural light, sunlight, trails, stewardship. Color and balance was the second one. Nature-inspired, as we talked about, balancing some rainbow and sun with calm, quiet colors. The Greenfield Hill neighborhood, celebrating the farming history, the historic architecture, local context, the local landscape, the dogwood trees, and how that can be a signage element as well as a building aesthetic. Differentiation, there was ideas about students choosing their choice of space to learn within the classroom, having those learning zones, the calming corners, the small group rooms versus the larger breakout spaces. So just being mindful of different types of learning spaces to support all learners and having a level of student autonomy and choice available within that. And then last but not least, excitement around learning, adaptable, flexible spaces that can be connected to curriculum in changeable ways. So if there's a curriculum element, maybe that informs how part of the building is displayed, organized, aesthetically designed. So that was an interesting idea to us architecturally to begin to think about how that can inform and change the building on a more regular basis. Yeah, is there any, I know a lot of the folks in this room were at the think tank. Any ideas that sparked for you guys from this? Any thoughts that you guys want to share?
I remember Arthur talking about the historic, sort of like he wanted signs around the property, talking about the history of the area, and I love that. I think that would be like an ongoing educational piece I could see for Dwight generations to come.
The librarian?
Huh?
The librarian, is that his name?
No, he's one of the students.
Okay.
And he's a 4th grader. And I just think, I mean, if you go around, Fairfield, you see those, the dark blue sign markers, right, for like something historic happened here. There's one just around the corner. I think it was the site of the old Blackburn Tavern or something like that up behind Greenfield Hill Church. But there's lots of history around there. I think certainly for Dwight, I mean, we've got Timothy Dwight, right? I mean, that's our namesake. We've got to do something around that. But also, I think talking about the farm history and just the area there. There is actually, I just went somewhere and we were talking about the Grange. Or was it Mary who mentioned it?
No, we were talking about the Grange.
Yeah.
The Grange is like
Mary
the
mentioned it.
oldest operating Grange in the
Yeah.
state. That's literally right around the corner on Hillside.
Potentially it's the oldest Grange in New England. I was talking to her about that.
Really?
We haven't gotten the proof yet. I heard it, just because the other Granges in other states open and close
Right.
and move. So I have to confirm that.
It's really cool. So, and that's, like a big old, it's really neat to see both inside and out. So that might be like a touch point for us, some of those signage. And I love seeing the rainbow and sun. That was Taylor Haggerty's idea. She really wanted bright color, and she was excited about incorporating something that would be inspiring like that. And I do think, kids respond well to those kinds of elements. So yeah, those are the things that I see. Yes, Jason.
I like what the librarian had to say. Every elementary school, you always have to focus on the library. That's their meeting place, right? That's their place they're gonna go, that's their place they're gonna do computers and science and stuff. I like what he was saying and how he wants it bright, he wants the different seasons, and he couldn't figure out the ocean thing. I think libraries have changed in elementary schools since even 20 years ago, right? Less books, more electronics, like it or not, whatever. So I think the interactive space in that library needs to be more, I guess the way I see it now, more transformed. That, before it was just here, 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 but I think now it's how can we make it here today, and then he changes his ideas and then can shift this way and then back to here and stuff. I think that library, it shows that that's going to be a huge focal point, right? Because that's someplace that kids still go, they still tend to go, and it needs to be designed in a way where it fits everybody. Again, I don't remember if the ECC is going to be using that too, so I
don't believe
sure.
so. I believe the ECC has to remain.
Has their own thing, but like
CLC, yeah.
CLC. So that's something we have to look forward in the future and able to transform it and shift it to tomorrow's needs of students.
Yeah, flexible, adaptable.
Correct.
Yeah, we talked about there's a program element that is going to open up into it, the lab.
The lab is to be separate, but within the same space.
Within the same
Right.
space so that it could be, right, so it could, because I think it's another teaching space, it's an extension of the.
They need to be able to see it, right, and to be able to interact with it.
Yeah.
And hopefully with the increased number of students, we'll have like an extra paraprofessional who will be able to maybe stay in the library if the LMC specialist is teaching in the computer lab. But yeah, I think it's still nice to have the division though.
Sure.
I'm one of those people that I can't stand when I walk in to the library and all I see is the computers because you're surrounded by books. That's what started all of this.
The computer lab should be set in the back.
Right,
To the
right,
Yeah.
yep.
Mill Hill is like that. When we designed it, it was purposely like what you say. You didn't want to see a row of computers. You wanted to see the thing, so we pushed it to the back. And it is separated, but
All glass,
all glass, no door.
no, 6 foot opening,
Right.
double leaves.
Yep. But it is definitely a.
Kind of open, but not.
Maybe we can do a Dwight tour and then I could take you over to Burr because
That's the one that was mentioned at
everybody
the,
mentioned a lot.
yeah, that's on my list is Burr and.
And we don't do the whole, school tour, we just focus maybe on that.
Sure, that would be great.
And that would be quick and it's just.
Never have seen Burr Library, no idea. I think what it's starting to sound like is that the library is the biggest breakaway space for the students. Like that's what this is. Like we all keep talking about these little nooks that kids could like kind of go off into, but even the principal of Sandy Hook said it. I don't want there to be too many nooks in the hallways because you get that one teacher who keeps coming out and being like, go back in your classroom, you're being distracting. I think Mr. Brophy's amazing. I've only been there a year. I think he's
Library.
awesome. I think most librarians like changing things up a little bit to draw. It's kind of like a bookstore. So maybe more movable nooks, like, the big round ones that can kind of roll so that they can then break them. But it'll allow them more freedom if the shelves are kept more along the walls and everything centralized in the library is movable for them to, during a Christmas break, come in and go, I'm tired of this, and move stuff around and create a different vibe. That might be a good place to do that so that the kids constantly feel like they're getting different breakaway spaces.
Sure.
The one thing he's gonna realize is when he gets his new librarian desk, which at the beginning I was like, what's the difference? But these librarian desks are like, sweet, right? It's not like what he has, the square is fading away, this and that. Once he gets that placed in, he puts it off in that corner, that's exactly it. You have the shelves in the back, and you have that open space, and he's free to do whatever. And then that's the key thing. And I really liked how he was saying how he lays things out now, knowing how that library looks. So he's gonna have freedom and then some, and then that computer lab isn't even a thought in his mind because he won't see it.
Right.
It's like you say, you walk in and you don't see it.
There's no movability to a computer lab because of you're tethered to the walls.
And you're
Well,
testing and
someday
everything
will be,
else.
but- For now you are, so I'm just picturing, he's so great about changing things up to re-engage the students into reading. Yeah. I like breakaway spaces, I'm big on them, but I also like to listen to the teachers, and sometimes in those hallways, it's just way too distracting to have too
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, you have to
Maybe-
be strategic about it.
Yeah, it has to be more like end of a, well, you guys know this, I don't
Yep.
want to tell you that,
Yep.
but, you know, I'm picturing end of corridor type of things towards it where it's not distracting, but there were some throughout Sandy Hook that the principal pointed out, she's like, we don't use that one. Because it's,
Well, they were at the end of the hallway.
there was one or two that were positioned in the middle, and she said she's in a hallway, and I was like, that's weird, she's like, we never use them because they're right, it's more used for like, send the student out there to sit and like chill, because it's not a good place for kids to engage each other.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We got a lot.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Should we have, based on the conversations from the think tanks, we've developed some preliminary concepts.
Yep.
Some of these are formulated around some of the plans that you've already seen us think through together. But we were able to knit in the ideas and the storyboard concepts from the think tank into 3 concepts. The first being forest and farmstead, and this is celebrating the Greenfield Hill neighborhood, the farming character, the historic architecture. The second being trails and meadows. This could be the treehouse concept. This could be more of an ecology stewardship concept. And the third being discovery and delight, the Dwight Dragons. And this is really that celebration of student accomplishment, the inquiry, cognitive learning environment, the excitement around learning. And elements from each of these concepts can be knitted into the other. So certainly we're not looking for a choice today, and not looking for a siloed approach to any of these. We can merge these ideas together as the group sees fit.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a real rough first pass, seeing that, just hot off of the think tank. This is our initial kind of reaction to everything that we've heard. And then this will kind of set the framework for us to develop the options so that you'll start to see real planning options.
Yeah. So the story of each of them, you'll see that the option number 1, the forest and farmstead, is our all-together concept where the building is up on the upper field, all on the flat land. The trails and meadows is where we start to engage the hillside. So that was the design concept where the building starts to traverse that landscape, a little bit on the flat, a little bit on the topography. And then the third is an iteration of altogether where it's back up on the upper field, and maybe the architecture just takes on a different form and arrangement. So we'll dive into the details of each of those in the next slide. Yeah.
This is gonna kind of be a little bit for Nick with Gilbane as well, because with these concepts comes very different concerns. I love them all. I don't mind. I know that there is major concerns by a few people. Lauren, I know you're one of them. David is one of them, Krasnoff, and it's all valid concerns. When you guys do present for if you're gonna go with the conceptual being building into the hillside, I think that there should be a collaboration with Gilbane to explain to people how you would prevent any issues of moisture and water, because for a very good reason, that is a concern of the entire communities. We don't want to build this new school and end up with underground water coming up through, foundation issues, cracking, all that. So if it is a problem, then you tell us, and we don't move forward with any of those ideas, obviously. And if you guys feel that this concern is something that you can work with and you can still, and I think that lends itself into Gilbane for showing us all the different options we have to prevent moisture from getting into the building if we go with a hillside approach at all.
Yeah, I think that comment came up at the think tank as well.
Yeah, David brought it up.
He's concerned because he heard about the Coleytown Middle School that was newly built into the hillside, and they've experienced some moisture issues. It's only been a couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And he's from West Point, so he's been following.
Sure. So, yeah.
But I know, it's happening.
I don't think the new Coleytown has moisture issues. I think he was bringing up, because he even said, I know that was built over 20 years ago, but that was a concern when we built the new Coley. I don't know if Coley's having issues, unless you do.
So I think it was there's 2. There's an elementary school in the front and the middle school in the back. The elementary school was renovated. The middle school was built. And that is the one at least he's told me it's had
Okay.
issues. But I also know that Long Lots is about to be built into a hillside as well. And I'm sure there's ways to tackle and handle those things,
Yeah.
those concerns.
I have a
I just
question.
think they should definitely.
I have a question.
Why don't we let them, because she was about to say that there was a more of a deep dive on the next slide. Why don't we get to the next slide and then we can keep asking questions?
Perfect. If that works for the group, that I'll fly through
Because I'm sure we
these
all have
concepts.
us.
Yeah. So, and very diagrammatic, very high level. Certainly there's gonna be more formulation around building volumes, but the forest and farmstead, some precedent imagery towards the top, some from your local landmarks, some from historic imagery. This, again, is we're looking on the upper field as the site for this building. The thought could be with your building square footage, we would obviously rotate it to take advantage of the view down the slope. And then we were looking to some nearby landmarks. We know the Binger Woods are our neighbor, so we could stretch the building to accentuate and bring us closer to the Binger Woods parcel. And then we also know that Greenfield farm, I think that might be the Grange that you guys were referencing, the open space is off the screen to the right. It's a few,
Greenfield Farm is actually different.
different,
Yeah.
okay.
Their land kind of abuts the back of the Grange, but if.
The Grange
if you
is here, this is Congress, right?
Oh, yeah, so, okay, Reading over here, sorry guys who are online. Reading here, this is Hillside. This is Congress.
Oh.
And this, for all intents and purposes, we'll just say Old Academy. Because it really is Old Academy, and then it branches off into
Top of
Dunham.
Reading is Cross Highway. You take a right onto
Oh, you're
Cross
right.
Highway and it
Okay.
brings you to
Okay,
Congress.
okay.
Hillside is where.
Hillside is like here,
And that's where the
then
Grange
Congress.
is on Hillside, yeah.
Okay, so the Grange, sorry, just ignore that, that's not Congress. The
The Grange is over there.
Grange is here. No,
The
you
Grange
think,
is on Hillside.
right, but
Yeah.
Hillside kind of goes this way,
Oh,
and then Congress
and then
comes
comes around.
across, and then you head Cross Highway. Anyway,
Yeah, sorry.
there is a couple, so the farmland that's there, I know because my good friend Erin Bellis shares a driveway with them. I believe he leases it for like a penny a year or something like that, and he gives tours and school kids come. He does like a pumpkin picking thing in a maze.
Does that help?
Yes, ooh, good, okay, I'm gonna go out, guys.
And I'll point with my.
Okay, so here's Dunham, and down here would be Old Academy, like this is the church, right? Here's Hillside, that's the Grange, right there,
Okay.
okay? And then you come up Congress over here, this is the school property, right?
Yep.
This is my friend Erin's house, and this is the Greenfield Hill Farm, right there.
I would have
So-
never envisioned it like that in
So
the
the
Grange.
Grange, it only has a small little area here, but it's a big, old barn, almost,
Okay.
looks like a schoolhouse. It's got like a little cupola on the top.
Got you.
But yes, so then
What's
you have
that,
the barn
Lauren?
here, and then that backs up to
The guy.
the back of our property.
Okay.
In the fall, he does all those pumpkins out front. He has
Yeah.
the big pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
And then he has all those old-fashioned tractors in the front.
Yeah, I saw the tractors because I like.
Yeah.
Farmer Bob.
Gotcha.
My friend's on the other side of that.
Thank you, Jeff. That was very helpful.
And,
super
I
helpful.
do just have to point out, not that we share space with them, but here's Running Road, and then over here is the Merwin Farm. And my their first riding lessons were over here. It says Merwin's Hill, this is a whole neighborhood that a lot of kids
Yeah.
that are in the Dwight district, populate from. But there's trails all through here, riding trails.
Okay.
So I think one of the pictures you had there was a horse, and I recognized the barns, so that's
Okay.
Merwin's Farm.
Amazing. That's very
I
helpful
would have never
context.
visualized it. Like when you were saying it, I'm like, how? I'm still looking at like a grid, like a New York City map.
Yeah.
Like I take a right and a right and a right.
So I think conceptually the thought was to acknowledge that those, we could celebrate some, and maybe that comes into play, like how the architecture is, maybe that building volume that faces more towards the farm could have lean into that farm aesthetic, whereas when we're stretching towards the Binger Woods, maybe that's an opportunity to use some different materiality. So lots of thoughts to be developed further into the design phase here. But the second concept, very similar, trails and meadows, but this engages the hillside. So we have precedents here from the woods, the dogwoods, some of the other forests and trails around town, some of the open space. Thinking about if you start with your building area, and as we talked about, you slide the building and embrace that hillside, so that you have a two-story building volume on the left-hand side and a single-story on the right-hand side, and really then carve out that space in the middle on that upper level to connect to the nature, to the outdoor space, bring that natural daylight deeper into the building, and then celebrate the view that is established looking down the hill.
So this was also, I think, a topic of discussion at the think tank as well, because one of our schemes when we were looking at it had somewhat of a similar kind of U shape. And we talked a little bit about the orientation of that courtyard. What if you are going to use something like that as a vehicle? Obviously, you're using that U shape to get all the natural daylight into all the classrooms, but you have to think about how that space is going to be used on the exterior and make sure it's not distracting to the occupants around that U shape. One, and then two, I think the topography is going in the opposite direction that you really wanted to in order to have there was a conversation about theater night, I think, just bringing this full circle. And I know it was banned
Brought up
because
like
I
the
think some of
amphitheater
the
feel.
Yeah, but the amphitheater thing would be really cool.
But maybe keeping something like that in mind as we develop these, if the opportunity presents itself. I think that was a nice anecdote from the historical use and what the culture has been to, if we can somehow, and I'm not saying it's in this scheme, but if we keep that in mind on our list, if the opportunity presents itself, we should try to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
okay.
The third and final one is focused on discovery and delight. So this would focus on, again, you take your building area, all those common spaces could be centralized within the building. So this would create this sense of community within the building, and then you could start to differentiate some of the learning spaces using the exterior envelope, create a connection, a pathway to nature through a portion of it, and then focus on the theme of community, of circulating around these shared spaces and bringing everybody together in a central fashion.
Is that also with the ECC in mind?
Yes, so the ECC would then be conceptually a part of this building block. It could be that separate volume on the right, yeah.
So my question, I like this design because what it shows and how we're going to utilize space. If we put that on the top of the hill, right on the softball fields, is there enough room to put parking and everything up there, or would that have to be below? Because then my next question is, if we took over that entire spot up there, and let's just say parking's down here, in reality, downstairs can be all the fields.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're still gonna need parking.
Well, no, you'll still have parking here that you can put either a steep ramp or stairs going up, right? At the end of the day, that school sits on top of that field, right? And if you put parking, 12 teachers plus 20 or 30, it can go here, and it'll just be focused on the school. Because what I noticed in a couple of your plans here, some of the parking is down by the tennis courts. And I'm gonna tell you now, in a day like today, if you have a school activity, the parents won't, or teachers won't be able to park there. Because they'll be taken up by everyone playing tennis. All right?
No, actually, the tennis courts are closed during the school day. They're never allowed open.
You mean even like right now, it's not
Right
open?
now, it's not open.
They're closed.
They cannot have, on any tennis courts on school property are not allowed to be used during school hours. And there's a big sign when you drive into Dwight that says that.
You're pointing to which one? This one?
The one altogether.
Yeah. So this one.
I'm sorry, Jason, it's a fair point, but that would only apply for the weekends.
Okay. Well, in that case, I still like the idea of having everything up on the top of the hill and then have the bottom as their fields, because then there really is there is a true separation of what belongs to the town and what actually belongs to the school.
Can I ask, at least go back to the slide deck in order so we can have the clear presentation and go home eventually?
I think that summarizes the options. I'll pause there because the next conversation was around the student activity workbook. so we can.
Yeah, just one thing on this scheme that is a little different than the first two. I know these are high-level diagrammatic, but the shape, right? This implies that if you see the green silhouette there, that some of the spaces might be internally focused, like the gymnasium, for example, could be towards the center of the building. Or maybe the cafeteria they could be combined. So these larger spaces that could have clerestory lighting, so we're not saying that there wouldn't be daylight, but what the give and take on this, the give is that you kind of give up the perimeter windows and the connection to the outdoors, but you get that natural daylight from above. So works well with some media centers, works well for gymnasiums. The take on this, the benefit of this is that it's a much more compact, efficient floor plan. So the perimeter wall there's a floor area ratio to floor to wall ratio. A building like this is going to be much more, efficient building envelope-wise. So
This is new, I kind of like it, and I also, when we talked about that, how at Sandy Hook, there's the gym, the stage, the cafeteria, and the ability to open those, so you get like this massive shared space.
I love that they did the music. They had the other one, but then she said, I wish we just kept it on the stage and did 2 sets of those noise canceling curtains.
They don't. Well, I have a question. Does
Oh, no.
Dwight have a band room, a choir room?
No, it's the stage,
Yeah.
correct?
No, we have both. We have a band room, and then we have
and you have an
Additional-
instrument room
music room.
and a
So
music
do
room.
they have the band supply closet too?
So they have when you go into the KPR, the cafeteria, right? Below the stage, there is like a set of wooden
Oh, I know, okay.
storage, kind
They go
of, they're not
there.
even lockers, it's just open
Yeah.
storage, but like kids' bases and the tubas, like the bigger instruments can go in there. Otherwise, sometimes they just leave them up on the stage or above their lockers, they stick them above them.
Get their own
I
storage.
just wanted to capitalize on that before we go.
I think it's a really
I was
cool
trying to
concept and
back-
it's
I think
new.
You guys backed the thing, you went off the rails.
Sorry, I know, I know, sorry.
Basically,
We're not that far off the rails, 235 guys, we're still.
basically,
You gave me the opportunity.
basically, it's one big box instead of 2 separate boxes.
It's just a different scheme that I think it's different than what I think this group has seen to date, and I just wanted to point that out.
And I like that you still kept the playgrounds in the back and that there's a big enough field off behind the ECC where the gym teacher could potentially, because I do know there was concerns about having to bring the kids all the way down to a
Right.
field below, but if there's at least enough space back there for them to
Everything's
host like
contained.
kickball or something.
Yep.
And my concern, the kids are behind the school.
Yep.
The kids are away and the first people up front are the offices.
So it sounds like it sounds like
It's great.
we should continue to
Explore that, I like it.
because then it'll probably shake free some other ideas on the other options.
So a couple of macro questions. One, with either the hillside or on top, does that, I believe that there's no room for a baseball field. Is that a true statement? It doesn't look to me like it's viable, but I just wanted to sort of, because
It would be a challenge. Yeah, it would be a real challenge to find another location for the baseball field. I think, and I'll pull it out in a second, I think the footprint of the
Not gonna ask softball or little?
There's an existing baseball field.
Right.
I don't know what our option, I wanna understand, even if we go into the hill, what are we scratching off the viable option list, right?
Is that a full baseball, but I hear what you're
It hasn't
saying.
pressed us with replacing.
I just wanted to,
You're gonna have to.
wanted to be clear. I just want to understand
don't
what
think I
our
am.
options are pie.
I'm not
But
gonna
you
have
don't
to,
need
no one
two
told us that we have
soccer.
to.
You could, you know.
I would like to try
right
to
back
get
here,
as much
right?
field space back as possible. One thing that we could potentially think about doing, and it was already being utilized this way, if you look, and I'm not suggesting this, but if you look behind RLMS, it is a combined baseball, football,
Yeah.
and soccer field, and lacrosse field, hockey, what have you. It is like
Baseball field
an
is also two
all-in-one.
soccer fields, so I
Well,
get.
that's what we were talking about
I'm
back
just trying to
there.
understand what our,
Options.
if we're saying that the, going on top of the hill clearly precludes a baseball field. Right. But if we
Depends.
build in,
Yeah, it depends on the size of the field.
Well, if
If
you go
it's
on
a-
top,
I meant the diamond, so
He means is it a
No, I
high
understand
school
what you-
versus little league?
60 foot with, so we, and I know the folks at home have a little challenge, but, so this 60 footer,
yeah.
the possibility
Let's say, could it go here?
Fits right there.
it depends on what the actual.
You're down low. You're down on the lower field.
Correct.
So the existing school footprint is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be the same
Okay.
outfield.
Yep.
So I guess it depends on the actual, who's
Right,
using
right,
it.
Right. You're not getting a men's softball league or something.
Right,
Right.
this
Well,
is
maybe
the-
men's softball.
Not with a red
Have
dot.
it tucked away.
Maybe with
You
a,
have it
Okay.
up, I like this idea because you have it tucked away. This belongs to the school.
Yeah.
This belongs to whoever, and there's no interference. There's
I
no
would think this, and
interference
now
with
you're-
that.
I was gonna say,
Some netting.
Or that, yep.
rather than launching them into
Yeah,
the,
no, you launch it towards the
You wanna be,
residents and you put up a net.
These kids aren't gonna.
yeah.
Exactly my point. It's not even gonna make it that far, so don't
You
even
get
worry
some of
about it.
that,
Yeah, that's the way that they would design it. You always.
Because I play softball on that top field. I don't know anyone that's actually hit it over.
Oh, I see.
Kind of
Yeah,
gummy
yeah, like,
stuff.
rubber cement.
I would just say, again, it is not within our charge to try to get any particular kind of field back onto, like, we're not trying to replace exactly what we have now with something new. Just whatever we can recover would be great. That being said, maybe the town would prefer a soccer field because there's a lot of intramural, soccer teams
Maybe.
versus there's more of those than the adult.
So one thing on this topic that would be helpful for us is, I know we're not charged to replace everything that's out there, but if there is a priority or prioritization of what, if we can get one, if we can get two, if there's a list in order of priority, that'll help us.
Why don't we check with Anthony?
Is it Anthony? Is it Anthony anymore, or is it
Think so?
Parks and Rec? He's not Parks and Rec anymore.
He's not?
He's something bigger.
Well, there's.
Somebody. But I think,
somebody will know.
Whomever that may be.
because here's the thing, you have to time that coordination when you tear that school down, that they're gonna, us or them have to come in and.
I would say this, right now, the kids use the playground. When you get to third grade, you're allowed to use the fields. They don't let the kids, the younger ones, go onto the field because it's so far in the back of the property and they're also worried about kids wandering off into the woods. So it's really only an older kid privilege at this point, but it is heavily used when we have field days or when there's like big all-school, kind of activities outside, which may only be a couple times a year. But I would think that just any large field of any capacity would be great. They're gonna need something, but my only other hesitation is the further away from the school it is, the farther it is for those kids to walk, especially littles. And down a hill. And then back up a hill, which they do right now to get to the playground, right? So it's not like they're unfamiliar with the
But you don't
concept.
have enough space for a playground on the top.
Yeah.
You'll have their own playground
I know,
on
but
the
if-
top.
I think like daily, we should prioritize it for like outdoor daily use, if it's outdoor play, outdoor education, those need to be
Yeah.
close by, outdoor recess, and then if it's like, field day or like some larger event.
Oh, yeah.
Those become maybe, something like
Those you
that
take the
might
walk
be it,
for.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like Jim,
The hard part is how long are each class? I don't even know because they do the 5.
40 minutes.
So they are 40 minutes. To wrangle kids,
Right.
walk all the way down,
Right.
and then be able to wrangle them and get back up in that 40 minutes, you're really only getting like,
5
with the
minutes.
kindergartners, you're getting like
If you're
20
doing a
minutes.
full, that's if you're doing a full
Field day, yeah.
period.
Yeah.
But I would say that their normal recess time is 20 minutes.
Oh, recess, forget it. They're not going out to the field.
does Dwight
They'll go to
use
the
the tennis courts during the day when there's no, do they ever utilize it?
Occasionally, Coach Connor, our PE teacher, will do like a tennis,
But only with the
segment.
olders, right? Only with the older kids.
He doesn't really use
Fifth,
it.
fourth, and fifth.
He doesn't usually.
This is,
And again, the public's not allowed on it during the day, so even if like the moms and.
For clarity, why does Altogether not work on the hillside?
On engaging the hillside?
That,
That building form.
that building form.
why does that work on the outside? It does. Let's see what.
To me, I was differentiating those two issues. One was in hillside or on top.
Sure.
Another was the shape of the building, but I don't know if is there issues with that from a
I think the
Windows. Views, or what was the thought?
I think the ECC would likely, so on the altogether, that's linear. The grade change is also, the topography is also in this direction.
Yeah.
So that program might need to change because whatever's along this line, half of it's not going to get daylight if we use the grade. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that we can't rework this to make that happen. I think it's worth looking at because what we heard at the think tank was this had more benefits than some of the other schemes, but the challenge was the topography. So we can look at that. Yeah.
So I think what we're hearing overall is that this third new concept, Discovery and Delight, is refreshing. Maybe we're, fleshing out a couple more ideas with that. But I don't think any of us are like very strongly this one over that yet. So, but we're still very high level right now. So I appreciate you guys being open to considering.
I'm on top, I'm a huge fan on top of the hill. On top, take over the field up there, all in one. But part of me selfishly is, you guys are getting a brand new school, you put that in the middle, you still have a field up here, you still have some stuff down here, people are parking, it's not yours, right? The school is gonna be yours, that should just be yours. Anyone that wants to come and play a sport, stay down here or not. I'm gonna park here and do this and do that. This is yours, everything fits, the parking, if they're not, that's great to know that those parking is available during the,
School day.
during the school day. So now you just have parking, everything's there's no reason anybody needs to go up there.
I
So
always
it's a
love
safety
keeping
thing.
people away from my kids.
Yeah. And we heard that.
I mean, 'cause
This
Dwight
is
now.
like my biggest thing. I'm not so weird anymore, unfortunately. But I just want playgrounds in the back so that the teachers can contain them and that, God
Correct.
forbid anything go painfully wrong,
Yep.
that the safest possible solution is what I'm gonna pick.
Correct,
Yeah.
it's your school.
And I loved engaging the hillside, but putting them all the way up there, it's like, that's us, this is you. It's
Correct.
almost like raised flags if it's like
It's your
an
school.
unknown. Yeah.
There's no reason for anyone else to be up there but those students, let them enjoy that, and the tennis courts and stuff's in town, there's no reason now to park up on top of that hill to play softball when everything's down below.
You still might get people up there for playgrounds.
Well, yeah.
On the weekends.
On the weekends, but not like it is now where it's used for everything, Like when the softball league started, we park everywhere,
Yeah.
so.
Cool.
So this is great feedback. So the next, iteration is going to have more detail and have some of these concepts and feedback flushed out. So that'll be a few weeks from basically today, right? This is very helpful.
Wonderful.
So also in front of you is a draft of the student activity workbook. We love to make these available to students within the school. We can do one-to-one, we can do a portion, whatever your preference is. We have them professionally printed and delivered. And it's an opportunity for student engagement. We ask them questions about what they like about their school, what makes it special, where they like to learn. They can circle pictures of things that they like. They can sketch what they envision their new school to be, which is always our favorite part, getting those sketches back. And then we also have a map so that they can help inform the aesthetic story by telling us the local landmarks that they enjoy.
Why don't I reach out to Mimi, our principal? I would love to show her this. And then potentially, when we schedule your tour, maybe this is something you guys can bring along and we can hand out and leave it there for her to decide or the teachers to decide maybe they want to do this before the end of the school year. I will say there's a lot of excitement and activity. They're winding down a lot of things, but they're also trying to fill some time.
I was
because
gonna
no one
say,
wants
this might
to
be perfect
start
timing for this.
A new unit in the last 2 weeks.
They're not allowed to wheel in the old TV and VCR anymore, folks, so
Yeah,
this
so
could be perfect for one of the
This
teachers to
would
be like,
Great.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'll reach out to her and.
So I think, what do we need? A couple day lead time?
Yeah.
So
Of course, with it knowing that you'll need some time, but even if we could just bring this to her and say, hey, we're gonna ship
Oh, yeah.
this,
Absolutely.
or something, or I'll
Yeah, and we can share this digitally too.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the printer needs basically a day to get them printed.
They have all of next week is the last week of full school days.
Oh, it's Banks Maple Tree Farm. Sorry, I thought it was Merman's, but that's right up the road
Oh,
from Banks.
now I know what you're talking about, okay.
And we can replace it, like if you would rather
That
switch
one
out.
is closer, but this one's very.
Okay,
Ask Mimi, but if they can get this out to the kids like middle of next week and have them turn them in by Friday before, or, you know, just, we could even just put a drop box, like when you're done with your idea book, put it in the big Dwight 2.0 box out front. So the kids could like, that could be free time, like pull out your idea books.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, that's what I would do with
Okay, guys.
I'd be like, you're annoying me, here, do this
I
right
love
now.
it.
And then when they're done, when they think they're done, they can put it in their idea into their new school box.
I'll try to get it done this week and then find a time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome.
Already had my answer for the first one. What makes school
do you-
school special?
Are you guys wrapped up or I don't want to cut you off early.
The second half of the deck is the design coordination meeting summary, which I know is later in your agenda, so we can pause.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next.
Yeah, so number 5, we're going to move along to agenda item number 5 to hear, consider, discuss, and review the RFP for commissioning agent and timeline. And just a little update, I'll let Mark take over this bit, but this is not something for us to vote on. This is just Mark sharing what he will be uploading to Bonfire. It's similar, I guess, to the
Yes.
RFP process, only we don't have to go through the whole selection. It's more
No,
like
you do have to go
you
through the whole
qualify.
selection.
Yes, but you explained it's like you qualify or you don't.
Essentially.
short list.
Yeah, I will get into it. The commission agent.
Okay.
So the commission agent, for those that aren't into it, they are the third-party independent firm that is the bridge between the design and the construction. So, and they're basically, for a long time, they're the referee. They'll come in, they'll take the design and make sure that what was built meets the actual, the design. Simplicity, whatever. Simply. We want someone independent. So we've done this before. We're going to have, at the next meeting on the 16th, we'll have this all set for approval. We'll issue it the next day. We'll have a pre-bid meeting on the 22nd. RFIs are due on the 26th, sort of along the same timeline as the CM and the architect.
Is this a new process the town's making us go through?
We've done this before on Mill Hill and on.
But like selecting it like this, the commissioning stage?
Yes. So this, instead of the architects and the CM, we are going to get, it's basically an it's a request for a proposal, so they'll give us the qualifications and the proposal at the same time. We'll go through in the submission, it's down here more.
Is this something that requires interviews?
Well, possibly. It doesn't have to be because,
This person pretty much isn't necessary until we're onto the schematics and the building portion, it sounds like, right?
we want them in basically at the end of schematic design or during the schematic design estimating constructability review. If not, at the very latest, we want them in DD so they can review the schematic design.
They should just get
Gotcha.
in so they can do what they have to do.
Right, so this is you warning us about something that's coming up.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Are they being charged with creating the basis of the design document?
That's a good question. I mean,
I know there's a standard.
Yeah.
I just typically somebody.
owner's project requirements for.
You.
Yeah, let me
You
dive
just
into
need
it.
to figure out who does it. Doesn't matter.
Eventually you'll be told. You probably just rather know sooner than later.
So along the same lines, we'll require two submissions or two separate submissions. executive summary, relevant project experience, project team, project approach, and then the fee proposal will be separate, as a separate document.
Are we gonna have to grade all this too?
Yes. But, the criteria is basically relevant project experience, project team qualifications, project approach, and fee proposals.
And this is based off of Mill Hill?
I believe this is HVAC job, which is similar.
Any of this?
We need to change some of the numbers.
Well, that's one of the reasons why.
That predated me.
We need
For the
to
HVAC?
change- Drop that.
Oh, you added it in, that's right, I keep forgetting, I'm sorry.
Inherited.
What?
HVAC.
Van Zel,
Oh, for the owners rep or commission meeting.
yes. So, we need to do the points. Basically what this is, a lot of times if you've ever sat through a interview with these guys or presentation, these are, commission agents are not,
They're not pitch.
they're not architects and they're not
It's a quick.
not CMs. It's not a presentation. It's going to be more of a interview.
Okay, so they'll
It'll
go quick.
be it should be very quick. We got through the vestibule.
And we have time, so if we wanted to, we can even stretch it out. Like, be like, one can come each week of a meeting and sit down.
That's what I wanna
would
know.
do them all in one day, but
I understand the fee proposal is gonna come afterwards, but can we do those first 85 points in one fell swoop by just looking at their proposals
Yep.
online? Like, we don't
Yep.
need to
correct.
call
We don't have to
references or
run it
any
down.
of that?
Okay,
But
good.
in this case, it's actually apples to apples commissioning agents.
Yes.
So you can actually make the fee proposal higher and everything lower, because this guy's not gonna tell you anything different than this guy, because they have to do the same thing.
Yeah, we do have the fee proposal in here, which they'll provide. Total number of hours and their fee.
It's not like an architect or the construction management, the
There,
presentation's gonna be.
there is not, it's not,
And the project approach is they're working with them,
well,
so.
their project approach is how they take their design and the construction managers install, well, not even the construction managers install, but the HVAC or the subcontractors install and make sure what is built is what was intended to be built.
So similar, but a little more efficient, a
Little
little
bit more
faster.
efficient.
Everybody's just gonna get to read
The-
a presentation, grade it, and then we talk about an interview and a fee proposal.
The criteria,
How many people
in-
are gonna even put in for this, like on average?
I think we had a half dozen on HVAC.
But we narrowed it down to two.
So we are gonna have to shortlist?
Not necessarily. I mean, you can shortlist off the top 3 criteria.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to,
Can I time out 1 second
Yep.
and just throw out something kind of, I don't want this to come off rude. This sounds like more of something that maybe we should put into the next agenda. And, because it sounds like we're gonna need to talk a lot and
Well,
like do things, so this is just like the
Yep.
kickoff to us.
this is just the kickoff.
Okay.
I'm not looking for,
Good.
I'm not.
I was gonna be like,
we're
I
not
have to
setting
take
it-
And I-
today, I
I'm not
have
saying
to.
it's-
I have no one to take my kid off the bus today and they've been
Sorry by
shorter.
saying we don't have to
Yep.
vote on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just-
We're not
introducing it.
All right.
setting this in concrete.
I think with this, to help us, I would revise that, what you think should be the points, because the fee proposal in this case on the commission agent should be higher, where your presentation may be lower, but your qualifications should be higher.
When I was thinking about, well,
And the project approach should be a little higher.
But this is what I'm saying, we're gonna get into
We're
this
getting into
discussion
the
here
weeds.
right now and get
I'll-
into the weeds.
I'll
and-
tweak it and,
Tweak it and show us
And
so
then
we can have
show
a
us.
conversation.
Okay, cool.
Because based on what you know,
yep.
I appreciate that, so we're gonna add this to the next
And the
agenda.
interview
Yeah,
might,
exactly. I just wanna add it to an agenda that isn't, like, we haven't had a
It might be
full agenda
coincident.
like this in a little
It's just-
while. This requires more
everybody gets it.
attention than I think it's gonna be able to get today.
Okay. But you do need to post this.
No.
not yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not
Not
yet.
until it's approved.
We won't post it till it's approved next, at the meeting, at the meeting that it is. Yeah, the timeline on it is
I'm sorry.
basically.
We basically have the whole, that's why I was asking, I just want to give it the attention it deserves. And I figured they can't really start refereeing between the
Well,
two of you until there's something to referee
Well,
around.
they're part of they're part of the
Yeah.
design process from a different angle.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll talk about a reassessment of the criteria points at the next meeting, but thank you, Mark, for bringing it to our
Yes.
attention. It is important. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
That is it.
We've covered it, we've got the timeline.
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to agenda item number 6, to hear, discuss, and review design coordination meeting kickoff and committee attendees. I apologize, I broke this up because I didn't realize it would be all so nicely compiled into one. But yes, let's go back to, I did post this online as backup if anybody wants to go to the Dwight Building Committee, or you can see it here because we're sharing the screen. But these, as some of you may know, we've moved to an every other week for our building committee meetings, and then these design coordination meetings are in between our meetings now. It's not open to the whole committee, we just had the kickoff last week. But I would like to try to get 2 to 3 of us to join in on these future meetings.
Can I ask my question that I had for you on the phone and you
Sure.
let's clarify? Okay. Is it that if there's only, because 4 of us make a quorum, is it that only 3 of us may come in then because we are going to be asked questions? Or is it that once a 4th joins, we cannot ask questions as a group?
That's a question for the town clerk.
That's a question for the town clerk. Okay, I will.
But also, if we do that, then we also have to have,
Post.
we have to post it.
So,
Even if we don't speak, we just come on as members of the public to
It's
listen
an
in?
interactive meeting.
It's not open to the public.
It's not open to the, okay.
So these are
we've got to do.
closed sessions, because safety and
Yes.
security is a.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so.
Okay, so let's let Antonia continue and just kind of give us an overview
Sure.
of what the schedule will look like.
Can we steal the screen, Mark?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Awesome.
I
So
think you have to stop sharing it. I don't know.
Oh, do you want me to stop
Oh,
recording?
No,
No.
Mark had to stop sharing.
Oh, sorry.
Just steal.
Wait, so these are not open, so we should still be shown during the meeting?
We're talking about security. Okay.
We're not gonna go into it.
Yeah, we're not
All the
good.
other things.
This is just a summary of the activities that took place
Yeah,
at.
we're not gonna get
at the
into
design
discussing them
coordination.
right now. He's just gonna tell us what dates they're going to be discussing which topics, so that
Yeah.
maybe if we do want to invite certain people on certain days, it makes most sense.
yeah.
And this is also in the,
Just like we talked about.
in the slide deck, the PDF that will be posted. This is really just a summary of our meeting that we had, the design coordination meeting. We talked briefly about the project statistics, where we spent a large majority of our time is on this slide right here, which is a graphic representation of the proposed program. And we went space by space and discussed how that related to the educational specifications, what were the contents in the space themselves, toilet rooms, adjacency relationships. So it was a very good, productive meeting, design coordination review meeting. It helped us guide some of the questions, and we have more questions that we put together in a separate PDF that the committee will have access to as well, which is more related to the site. Things like number of buses, preferred amount of parking, arrival, dismissal times, how is the ECC going to work as far as half-day sessions. All these things will impact kind of the relationship of the site, how we design it, the relationship of the spaces within the building. So what else did I miss on that?
I think there was a lot of conversation around the adjacency of spaces. I think that conversation around the gym stage cafeteria, we started talking about the flexibility of space. We started talking about the desired student-teacher ratio and the number of classrooms, how those are supported. We also noted that within these, what we're calling the small learning communities for grades 1 and 2 and 3 and 5, that there is flexibility within those classrooms allocated. to be able to accommodate future growth. We talked a lot about the supportive spaces for specialized education and how they want to be placed within the building to be adjacent to programs and other amenities that they utilize that benefit them, as well as specialized education coming in within the small learning communities to support everyday needs of students. We talked about the ECC, how that can function more as we've described it as our nest. It's our dedicated zone for our earliest learners and the support spaces associated with that. I think some of the discussions were around the nurse and if there's one nurse for that grade level versus the rest of the school. So continued conversations around how we can locate that program to benefit from things like the admin, from the student services, from the nurse that are planned for the rest of the school so that there's synergy there and not as much duplication.
And one thing that isn't, I guess, as obvious as it should be, the upper right-hand corner of this slide, the dotted line that says gross up factor, that big rectangle is all your wall thicknesses, all your corridors, all your bathrooms. It's everything else in the building that's not assignable educational space. So that makes up that
Huge number.
that number, which was, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I will, 85.
27,320.
Is that
There it is.
I was gonna say 30,000.
part of the reimbursable, that empty space?
Yes.
Yeah, every,
Project,
Not necessarily the whole
Not
project.
until the space.
until the space waiver.
right. there's a-
There it is. I was like, there's another S in there.
So,
So I was
yeah,
like, oh, we're going for the SSP. Standard, I don't know. I was getting
I
mad.
haven't heard an abbreviation. But, yeah, so this slide represents the 85,435, which was, that's what we're working towards. So the more efficient we can make the building, the smaller that white box on the right corner becomes, which is, that's kind of that's the game as far as the design layout. So I think it was very productive. It was helpful to have the faculty and staff on there. They offered really good insight, so.
I think there's still some ECC questions I'd like to get answered for you guys, including, about whether or not they share a nurse or they have their own. I believe it's shared, but
Shared.
I'm gonna get.
Shared nurse.
Shared nurse.
Well, it is at the moment. And as it is in Ward, I believe it's a shared nurse.
Shared nurse.
So those that are following along, so that slide of the colored boxes or the program is a representation of what this is, which is in the educational specifications. So
Which is on our
which
website.
is on the website, which is part of the grant application. So that's how all these things are starting to be tied together. So that's the consistency. Then what we did talk about is as Mark had shared, that kind of sign-up sheet or that spreadsheet of the meetings. And these are, I guess, the design coordination. I have to get that down.
The DCM's guide.
Yes, the DCMs. These are kind of I'll call them the major identified topics. Obviously, we're going to have more detailed conversations with food service to talk about equipment, layouts, those kind of, there's going to be a lot of other conversations along the way, but this gives you kind of the idea of how we're going to progress through the design and when we're going to talk about these things in much more detail. Sorry, go ahead.
You started with DD, right? Like you're working on the back end, or you're still waiting for other things?
Say that again.
The design is started, or you're still waiting? You're actually working on this?
We're
We're working on
this.
it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Our next meeting will have the next iteration of, in more detail to what Antonia presented. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I wasn't understanding and I missed the first one, and that's totally fine because we have a group of 7 that are chosen for 7 very different reasons. So I think it would be good if everyone on the committee took a look at this list and maybe,
Nicole and I.
Yeah, email Lauren and I and let us know which one of these you feel passionate about and or have very good knowledge on it. Since we're only going to be able to choose 3, it might be that, not everybody gets to get into the ones that they want, But I think it's important that the people who have the background in certain, like, for example, Peggy, I'm thinking of you. Obviously, I think Peggy should be in on number 7, building systems. It would be great to make sure that Peggy is one of the 3 on number 7. Jeff, you keep lending yourself very well to sustainability things. I think it would be great.
Look at
So,
the
but
dates
to
that are
each their
tied to
own.
them too, guys.
Yeah, look at the
And
dates.
see if it works for your schedules.
And shoot us an email about what dates or which numbers you would like, and then we can send out a list of who's going to be welcome into which ones.
One thing I do want to point out,
Yeah.
the schedule is not flexible. We are not moving around dates or shifting.
If you don't show up, then you just miss it. That's all.
Right, but I'm saying you can't swap out number 4 for, say, number 6 or something
Yeah.
like that. So, like, just because it fits better for your schedule. We
Yeah,
would
no,
have
this is-
respect this is what Tecton has laid out for us, and I think we're just gonna try to do our best to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are all of these meetings scheduled before the date the schematic design is due?
Nope.
No, it moves through into design development, which is, in our opinion, okay. We don't need all of these topics ultimately resolved at the schematic design level, but they certainly need to be resolved by the end of DD phase, design development phase.
Okay, when are schematic designs due?
So we're going to get together, Colliers, Tecton, and Gilbane and flush out the more detailed schedule. Now that we've had the think tank, we've recapped here today. The next meeting 2 weeks from now will have much further along with the schematics. So I think, anecdotally, I think it's probably the next 2 meetings we really need to get a general understanding of where we feel comfortable where the building is going to be located and kind of generally speaking what it looks like, so that we can then start tuning up the package first.
From a committee standpoint, are you looking for one design or 2 designs?
There was supposed to be 3 conceptual designs to be
Right.
voted on, and then the schematic. So I may be misspeaking, but I assumed, Peggy, I was under the impression that the conceptuals were going to be happening over the summer and leading into like the August. No, okay. When are we?
Saying
Is this like
conceptual.
kind of what we're doing now?
Yes.
Cool. Totally didn't know this process. I thought it was gonna be like a day of like, look at all this stuff, which one do you want? But you're like, we're gonna just keep picking at your brains until we hone down on it.
I think that's it.
And then it was schematics, like the true design, you guys would start honing in on the answers towards the end of the summer and have schematics throughout.
Schematics, according to the macro schedule that went out to both CM and
Yeah.
ARPA, it was
It's on there, you're right. It's right here.
early to mid-July
Right.
with reconciliation and, or estimates and constructibility through August, or, yeah, basically.
I keep
through
the
August.
project timeline on my desktop
So,
now, because
and
that
So,
messes
but
so up.
So in theory,
Ultimately,
these
well,
were the
the-
3 that we were looking at, we kind of,
No, they're still working on it.
No.
Schematic
that's just stuff.
estimates and review, end of June through end of August.
Correct,
Design development phase will begin with the new school year.
yes.
This is why we need a website. Then it would just
The-
be a
well,
click.
With that, as we get together with Tecton and Gilbane,
that's going to be more.
the end date on the design isn't
You
changing,
gotta tell them
Yeah.
no.
Exactly.
but the schematic design may shift a week or
Of
two
course.
within, but the end date doesn't move.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Will the engineer, the site engineer be at the next meeting?
It can be. Yep.
Well, they would be at the meeting for the building systems, of course, which isn't until, if you're
Oh, you're
following along
saying it.
online, that would be number
I thought you were saying
7.
this meeting.
Which
No,
is
no, the
August
site,
18th.
the site engineer, that's the one I asked, because the next meeting is the site.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, I thought you were talking about the building.
I thought, yeah, so,
Okay.
Yeah, if they're not, we're in trouble. They will be there.
okay.
Yeah, we're talking about site, he's there.
Okay.
The one thing I think in terms of building location, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that there was still some sort of environmental assessment that was being conducted, whether it's further borings along the hillside, or, I mean, I know you've assessed the wetlands you've got a good idea of the slope, obviously, all of those things, but I think we were looking for a little bit more direction onto, like, to, Nicole's point and what we were talking about earlier. Is it safe to build onto the hillside? Is that, like, logistically more challenging? Is that gonna cost more money? Like, or is it just better to build? I mean, this was kind of a debate on the Board of Ed level too, was you've got a big flat open space, why not just build on that, right? But if there is a reason why not to do something, I think environmentally, I don't know, we would like to know that before we choose a location.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're right. But that's the thing, I thought they were doing testing prior
They did the ESA, the
Right.
environmental site assessment phase
on
one,
the top.
on everything, on the whole site.
The whole site.
They
On
did
the
the
whole
whole
site.
site, top,
Yes.
bottom,
Yes.
sideways,
It's-
upside down.
So you're taking all of that into consideration. We're not like, we
No.
don't need to sit here and like go
So,
through it.
so the phase one site environmental was complete for the entire site. It's basically a high-level look at kind of the historical use of the property. The feedback in summary I provided was basically, there's a couple areas where there was an old oil tank. If we are gonna do deep excavation over in that area, then we should probably, once you settle on a design, then we should probably take deeper, we should take more tests just to make sure you're not running into something that you wouldn't expect. Other than that, there was, I'm
No-
paraphrasing, there
no,
was
like,
no,
red flags.
there was no
Yeah,
red
no.
flags.
It's,
Okay.
the site, environmental site assessment is basically your title search when you buy your house.
Right.
But my
You're not buying a house that had a former gas station on it. or-
my biggest concern now that we potentially could have it up top, right? My concern is, and I forgot, but we have to deal with septic. We have to deal with the leaching field. Is it, now, okay, if it's up top, is it
Now it's
still
logistics.
Is it possible to put it up top? Do we, if it breaks a leak, is there something on this side that's gonna be environment, that kind of stuff?
I mean, one of the things we did hear from some of the other A&E firms was like, you're going to have to push the water up the hill if you go all the way up the top, right? Because you're coming from
The bottom. Yeah,
the
the
bottom.
bottom.
Pumping station to feed
Yeah.
water from the street.
And then
Talking
even,
about domestic and fire protection, yeah,
Yes.
so a flow test will need to be conducted to understand the pressures and capacities. That might be something that we want to do sooner rather than later, because I think the engineers can calculate kind of the loss in pressure depending on where you are in the elevation of the property. My guess is that,
If they're already pushing up to here.
if they're already pushing up to where they are today, that extra 15 feet, I don't know if that'll, I've been wrong before, but I think getting a flow test, which it basically checks the pressure and flow of water in the street, would be something that we can do now. You don't want to do it too soon, because if something changes in the main in the rest of the community, then that flow could go up or down. So you typically try to get it further into design, but we can do it now if that makes, so that
if, what we want to do is make sure if we're going to put it up there, we want to make sure, yes, it's doable, right? Without even having more discussion.
I'm sure it's doable. I think it's more a matter of how much
What
more.
it costs, yeah.
So.
And then also, you're going to have to still keep the existing building functional, right?
Correct.
While you're bringing these new systems.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the existing building sprinkled?
Is it what?
Partially, no, it is grandfathered through. We only have the APR, the library,
There's water.
and the office area.
Offices.
So if there
Not the
is,
whole building.
okay, so if there's no current flow data available, which we'll coordinate offline with faculty and staff, we'll do one so that we know. Anything's possible. What it means to the project would be if you had a fire pump or you didn't, that's what it means. So a fire pump is, I don't know, whatever, 50, 60, 70 grand to add. It's a pump to pump the water up.
Yeah.
That would have to be tied to a generator. So there are some costs associated with it.
That's what we need to know.
But you may or may not know, I mean, you may need it regardless, because you don't have fire protection on the property.
From a volume perspective.
From a volume perspective already. So
Yeah.
it's a worthwhile due diligence. Phase one's complete. other than what I said about the oil tank and potential concern, no real concerns. What I put up on the screen is, as you may or may not recall, we did get all the original documents. We scanned them in and sent those out to the group and back to facilities.
Love looking at
I'll stop there. Peggy has a question.
Peggy?
Yes, Peggy?
You may want to talk to the fire marshal when it comes to your fire pump. I don't know if you can run both schools at the same time. You'll have two separate systems. You'll have a fire pump for the new school, and you have a fire pump for the existing school. And based on the design, I don't think you can have both of those, adequately.
I don't think we'll need, based on the timing and the sequencing and the logistics, I don't think we'll need to run both schools from an occupancy standpoint at the same time.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
And we don't have a sprinkler system in the existing building.
That's
Partial.
my point too. So.
No, the new one.
Oh, the new one, sorry. I see what he's saying.
Okay.
Definitely will.
Thanks.
Yeah, the new one, we were getting
Thanks,
better.
Nick and Sal, for that way, and I'm just saying your names out loud so that Jan, our recording secretary, knows.
Back to soils testing. Soil characterization is something I would encourage you all to do, regardless of what the phase 1 and 2 environmental assessments tell you to do. There's a chance that this site is not an export, meaning that we won't be taking any soils off-site, but odds are we will. In which case, those soils really need to be tested to confirm that they're non-detect for any types of chemicals, any type of hazmat. We've encountered in the last 2 projects we've done that are new builds, and we had 2 very clean site assessments on the one we're working on now, and I think we're over $600,000 after that was not in the cards originally. So
Okay,
I
so
would suggest
I
getting that
appreciate
going.
this, Nick, because I do think that we need to make sure before anything, before we decide where this building goes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that there's something in the hillside or on top, right?
But what Nick is commenting on is irrelevant to where the school goes. We need to understand
The makeup of it.
soil that.
Yes. I think I would agree that I don't know that it would dictate where the building might go, because regardless of where the building goes, you would have to do something with the topsoil. And the manner in which that gets characterized, that we've seen it done is, it's a small mini excavator and a couple of workers over the course of several days, just digging small little 2-foot wide by foot deep little test pits throughout the site. This site, probably several hundred of them, but that might be something that wants to get done this summer. Next summer might be pushing it a little too late, just based on when we're forecasted to go out to bid. Probably not something you'd want to do during the school year. It could be done during the school year, but I would think you'd want
If
to.
there was previous soil boring testing done for the last feasibility study, could they pull from those, or do we have to begin again?
It's different tests.
Different tests?
Yeah, they only did.
Testing.
Bigger
They only
Okay.
did it, but they didn't do it.
So I would say the summer. So it sounds like we need a couple things. We need a flow test for the water,
Yes.
and we need a soil substance, did you call it?
Characterization.
Characterization. Okay.
So, and to round out, so thanks, Nick, for that. That's helpful. That was brought up in the phase 1. We will make sure that we get you all of that information, Nick, so you have it, the phase 1 and the summary from Langen is the one that conducted that.
Okay, good, yeah.
And they're under clear direction from Tecton that, other than spoils, this should be a balanced site. So, and they're also under clear direction that they need to provide identify an area on the site that can either go up or down, depending upon the calculations, so that we're not running into a massive export. So just to be clear with everybody here, the way to mitigate, you're going to find something. If you test for it, you're going to find something. Because chances are it was farmed at some point in history. The way around it is to make sure that whatever you cut and dig over here gets placed there or moved around and spread out there. We're not taking anything other than spoils, which are the stuff that you can't
Right.
use offsite. So we need to have, and we'll closely coordinate with Langen and Colliers and Gilbane to make sure that we have a strategy that all the bidders, everybody can kind of reasonably work with. That's something that I think is an important piece, because every dollar we save not exporting materials is a dollar we can invest into a classroom. That's where it should go.
You should stress that, yeah, the materials coming up is probably, not good, but as long as it meets the state requirements, the state requirements say either has to be shipped out or not. So it could actually look really disgusting, but if it fits within the state requirement.
And there's new regulations that are complicating it even more so.
So, I mean, just like high level, I remember, we waited a long time to get this extra turf field at RLMS, the school that we were just at, the new turf field that's behind it. And once they started digging the soil, they found that the characterization was contaminated and they needed to actually remove and take it off site.
Right.
Or they needed to put it in a berm. They chose to remove it, but yeah, $900,000 later, that was not anticipated on the project.
Tested correctly.
Right. So let's get it done if we can, or, and I'm not gonna put a timeline on it. I just think the sooner we have those things taken care of, the better it will be, just for us, for budget wise, and just understanding the site itself.
Yeah, and we'll make sure on our side that as we go through SDDD, we calculate cuts, fills, and balance where we, and have a strategy for it. One other, so that's on characterization, that's on water flow. What I put up on the screen is, and again, we'll get this to you, Nick and team, the existing conditions drawings, so we know, generally speaking, where the existing septic field is, where the reserve was planned, so that in an ideal world, I think the current strategy is to, where we can, if possible, is use the area where the reserve field is, not build it somewhere else because it's already downhill. The other piece that I don't have an image of that is in the set is there were original borings for the original school that I think show enough of the makeup of the subsurface conditions that give us a good indication of what likely is still there, unless people were digging holes and filling in when we weren't looking. So we'll share that as well, because that's an important piece, meaning so borings digging down or taking a boring down to 10, 15, 20 feet to refusal. They identified, they're older, so they're not going to be as detailed as today's borings, but they give you, generally speaking, what's there. Rock.
You can do confirming
Yeah.
versus.
Okay.
So I think what's on the screen is very helpful. What we have in our files, which we'll share, is very helpful as far as the site due diligence piece. I know we took a lot of time. The rest of the slides in this design conference meeting were because there were other participants that didn't see kind of any of these graphics. So I think this committee's seen them a few times, so we don't necessarily need to go over them. But just remember, principal, there were other representatives from district leadership that didn't see any of this, so we just wanted to use this as a backdrop for some of the conversations, some of the mentality. So unless folks have questions on these, we can certainly go back to them, but I don't want to take any more time than
That all-in-one for the ECC, you're just gonna have a separate, I didn't see it. Maybe we're not there. The ECC bus drop-off, is it gonna be a separate entrance than
drop off. Yes.
drop off?
Not a bus.
And bus, parent drop-off for ECC.
ECC has buses, but they're short buses. They're
Correct.
the little ones,
So-
but there are buses.
So that leads me to my next my next PDF that was issued. So unless anybody has questions on what's on the screen, I might just stop sharing here. Actually, I'll share it again. Sorry, I'll be quick, I promise. Let's see.
My bus driver's using the school app right now, so I'll know like if they're running late.
Okay, so we don't certainly need to go over this list. I just want to show you that. So there's created a 3-page list of questions related to site, things like how many buses at ECC, what is it, frequency, size, turning radius, thing. All, again, we won't go over all of these, but things related to schedule, drop off, pickup, bus transportation, staff parking, so it's a half day for ECC. I don't know if the faculty and staff are there all day, if there's some coming and going. We would like, not everything is going to relate to, what exactly we do, but it would be good to understand what the operation and flow would be like, so that we can design it to our best possible way. So staff parking, visitor parking, deliveries and service, how often does that occur? Is it go to central storage? Does it get delivered to the site? What kind of vehicles? So these are all components that matter. I don't know if there's any pedestrians or walkers or what the policy is. I know it's a different
we'd
site.
love for it to be, but that's the one thing about that area is that there is no sidewalks. There's no pedestrians and no walkers, and as far as I know, there's never been any kids who bike to school. However, there is a big push right now through town for the Safe Streets initiative. They have been one of the things that some of the other schools are doing. So it's a total side note, but I would love for it to happen at Dwight. It's something called a bike bus, where one day they pick for everybody to ride in together. They pick a meeting spot. If you're in certain neighborhoods, you can meet up there, and then you get a police escort. For the beginning and the ending. It definitely messed with my commute the other morning when Riverfield did it down Mill Plain, but they looked like they were having a ball, and I just thought
Our kids would look like this.
so cool. Yes, they would.
This is mainly done in the neighborhoods that are very flat.
But that's like not every day, so I would just
It's one
plan, I would just plan it's 100% commute.
Yes.
And as far as the parking, I think,
And I take it you guys reach out to people and get these answers, or is this something you want us to reach out to?
So we're coordinating
Gotcha.
offline with
Cool.
Colliers. So
Okay.
I just wanted to share that there's other work going on.
My future dream, I mean, who knows, 30 years from now, is that there will be sidewalks all over Greenfield Hill and a biking lane.
I
But
think,
that's not in our
As
charge.
somebody whose house doesn't sit 10 feet off the
parking-
road, I don't want
I
sidewalks.
think the parking, you can combine the ECC faculty with the school faculty, which you now have to put in consideration.
Oh, that's true.
You can put them in one and then add 30 spots from that, or 20 spots from that, because just because something happens at Dwight doesn't necessarily mean the event will happen for ECC, like when you have a parents-teachers conference or a Halloween night or something like that. They may have it at different times or different.
They'll coordinate together, I
Right.
believe.
Well, let me,
Or like, does
Let's-
that
let's schedule a
ECC?
call with Rob Mancusi. He did offer to answer any questions, any and all questions we had about the.
Let's see how they handle it with Warden.
Do
That's
they
helpful.
do like Memorial Day, the little sing-alongs?
Yeah.
They may not or may.
Well, like Lauren said, we'll ask them and we'll see, do they coordinate well with Ward
And
right
also-
now to ensure parking spots aren't being used up at the same time by two different groups of parents?
That's true. I do think they actually have their own dedicated parking
do.
area.
Yeah, they do.
However, at the other schools where they're currently in, Stratfield and Osborne Hill, I'd be curious to see if the students, are engaging in on those like all school activities, like a Halloween or like a birthday. Okay. Well, okay. All good conversations. For future. You guys, this is all very exciting. And I want to deep dive on more, but I think we're all kind of reaching that point. So let me, if it's okay with you guys, I'm gonna jump to agenda item number 7, the project update Board of Finance meeting review from 5/19/26 that happened before our last meeting. Nicole, Mark, myself went and presented. Mark had a very helpful slideshow, which he did then share with Craig Hurley, the chair of the Board of Finance, and I'm happy to let you talk about it, but I think it went very well. There were some
It went well.
questions.
There's questions, most of it having to do with the reimbursement, which we have no control, no real say on it. But we did discuss going back at the end of schematic design. For an
Yes.
update.
Yes. And I mean, overall, I think the expectation is that right now, obviously, the reimbursement will cover a certain portion of the building, and not the entire thing until we have a space standard waiver. But our understanding, or at least mine, is that the process was that we had to apply for reimbursement first, see how much we were to receive, and then apply for the space standard waiver. But we can't do that until we have a design, which we technically don't have yet. So everybody wanted to know when we could, submit the space standard waiver and get the full 75%. Of course, we'd all love that, but we need to have the design first.
Well, then everyone should join us online for our public meetings, 2 p.m. at Tuesdays.
Exactly.
Cool.
Okay,
But it should be stated, we're the building committee, whether we get reimbursed or not, we still have the budget.
Has no-
And that has no bearing on what we do.
yes, we were asked if we were planning on putting in gold toilets, and I said no.
And what?
Gold toilets.
They're very concerned that because we've gotten so much more than we expected already, and there might be more to come, that all of a sudden is going to make this committee feel that we get to spend more of the taxpayer dollars, and we all firmly believe $76 million budget is the budget. It doesn't matter if it's 100% covered or 10% covered. That is what we are doing.
Even if it's 100% covered,
That's
it's
all
not,
we can do.
that money doesn't come back to this building committee.
No, exactly.
So-
It goes back to the town as it should.
Or it's just
So
less.
that being said, I still think it was overall, I'm gonna go on record as saying thank yous to our state representative, Jennifer Lieber, also Kristen McCarthy-Vahey and Sarah Kitt, who helped push that through for us. It absolutely is a tremendous win for Fairfield. So, I'd like to go ahead and move to agenda item number 8, open board discussion. I believe Jeff has something he wants to share with us, or just like a high-level discussion.
What are you referring to? My sustainability
Yes.
stuff?
So Jeff and I have had some, I'll just lead in. We've had some, side conversations about sustainable items, things, as you all know, this was part of our charge, is to explore sustainable initiatives for the design, building materials. And we have attended online Zoom conferences. We have engaged with leaders in other towns and districts on some of their sustainable design elements. And so Jeff has very helpfully compiled a list, which he just sent me. And yeah, I don't know. We're looking for maybe some help or a little subcommittee, if you will.
Yeah, I guess it's
Ad hoc, by the way.
for people who are interested in that to weigh in and talk through it and discuss where we are all with net zero and some of the other things that we want to start looking at, what makes sense, just to start getting understanding as well. So we have more people on the board who can speak coherently about some of the topics.
So some of the things that you've listed here, he's got highlights of structure, exterior landscaping, or interior and MEP systems, and then he's got like bullet points of 8 to 10 items for each. I'm super grateful for you for exploring a lot of these already and for leading the charge. But again, we don't want this to feel like it's just an isolated conversation between Jeff and I, sometimes John. If anybody else is interested in helping explore these from the committee, I just want to throw it out there that these are sort of ongoing conversations.
No, I'm all for it,
Yeah.
right? As
Great.
long as we just got, I'm all for the geothermal and stuff that's always been out there, but in reality, the pricing has been dropped and it makes it more attractive.
My perspective is that I would like to just make the statement of like net zero, right? So if we're going for net zero, then it falls on Tecton and the engineering group to figure out what is necessary to get there. And if geothermal helps with that, then geothermal helps with that, but it may also not. That's where we get into the hybrid geothermal, for example.
Right.
How many solar panels do we need? All of those types of things. Where do heat pumps fit in? All of those various elements.
I think everything should be on the table when it comes to that, and then we have to decide, is it feasible, right? That's the thing, is it affordable? Because if it's this, if we want to take care of this, what are we taking away from here and this and that.
If it's a costing, right?
Correct, I'm all for it. I think geothermal, I think this project, we'd be foolish not to really, really dig into it.
Well, it is much more typical in new builds. I mean, in the last decade, it's not new anymore, really.
Right.
Even though we kind of think of it as new for Fairfield, it is not new elsewhere. It's kind of the standard is to consider more sustainable ways of.
It just wasn't affordable
Yeah,
at the time.
I think it's
Now,
starting to change.
It's changed, even the way we discussed how we want to build the school with the new system, how they do things.
What's the envelope, right?
Right, so, but I think that's what it is. I think when we decide it, go for it, do it.
So I'm just going to leave that out there. I'm happy to forward Jeff's email to whoever. I'm not going to do it to the whole committee. I don't want to sort of back and forth, but I'll send it to you guys individually. But if anybody would like to explore these things with us, I think they're certainly worthwhile and will help inform the design as well. So we'd like to make sure that it's a broader conversation across the board. All right, anybody else open board comments? Anybody online? Okay.
I had one thing sorry. One thing I
That was-
wanted to make sure you knew, and there
Oh,
probably
so
are
I'm just real quick, Mary, so we'll move ahead to public comment. Sorry, that was the
Oh.
open board discussion, but yes, I would love to hear.
Sorry, I thought you were adjourning. Sorry.
No, not at all. I have it on there, number 9 on our agenda, public comment. Yes, Mary Hogue from Sustainable Fairfield.
So I just, since it's sort of a design constraint, there is a TPZ requirement that for every 10 parking spaces, 1 shade tree is required. So please,
Is that for education also, or is it just for private construction?
I don't know. I can send you the town code and you can look for yourself.
Okay, so for every 10 parking spaces,
1 shade tree.
1 shade tree.
Potentially.
And the point is not to like ring the parking lot with shade trees, though the reg is written this way, and then have all your parking spaces in the sun. Point is to try and shade the parking spaces. But, I mean, does this have to go through TPZ at all or no?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay, well then I guess a TPZ reg wouldn't affect you.
no. Well, it depends.
Send the reg. If it's feasible,
Karen, do you mind
we,
sending it?
Sal Morbido here. You will have a special permit hearing through zoning, planning and zoning. So the regs would come to you if it's a PPC reg.
Okay,
It's standard fare, and any school has to have a public hearing for zoning
okay,
and or wetlands if you have wetlands.
okay. All right, well, thank you, Mary, for making us aware of that. I appreciate it. Is there any other public comment at this time? Anybody else from online want to share? Okay, then I'd like to motion to adjourn the meeting at 3:41. Motion by Jason, seconded. Jeff, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.